Hello, teacher. I am going to next they learn the book the book the Steve Jobs. Thank you so much.
Chapter 7. Think Different. The 1984 Macintosh had not sold well, but its operating system, with Windows and pictures, was hugely popular because it was so easy to use. Since Steve had left Apple, there had been new Macs with the same operating system, and these had been more successful. But there had also been a lot of less successful products, including digital cameras and CD players. By 1996, Microsoft's operating system, Windows, was almost as good as the Macs. Windows computers were usually cheaper than Apple machines and had a much bigger choice of software. Apple was still popular with creative people like designers and artists, but every year it had a smaller share of the general computer market. John Sculley had left Apple in 1993, and Gil Amelio was now the CEO. He decided that Apple computers needed a new operating system. When his software people failed to produce anything good enough, he looked at other companies with an operating system that Apple could buy. One of them was Next. Next was not enjoying the same success as Pixar. In 1993, Steve had had to close the side of the business that made computers. Now it just produced software. Its Next Step operating system seemed to be a good choice for Apple. But would Steve agree to sell it to his old company? Emilio was surprised by his answer. He wanted to sell not just the operating system, but the whole company. "We have good software and a great team," he said. "You can have us all." In 1997, Apple bought Next for $400 million, and Steve was employed to give advice to Apple. Steve made sure that his best people from Next were given good jobs at Apple, but his own job there was only part-time. He wasn't a director, so he wasn't invited to the company's most important meetings. For Steve, this was very difficult. Apple was losing money fast, and a lot of its best people were leaving. Changes were needed urgently, but Emilio didn't seem to have a clear plan. 6 months after Apple bought Next, Emilio was thrown out. Steve was asked to become a director, and soon he was making big changes. If any of the directors disagreed with him, they were also thrown out of the company. A month after Emilio left, Apple had an almost completely new group of directors, most of them friends of Steve's. A month after that, Steve became CEO. Apple fans were very happy. For the first time in many years, the company had a strong leader with innovative ideas. Steve wanted to make customers and workers at Apple believe in the company again. He asked for help from the people who had created the 1984 Macintosh advert. They made a new advert called Think Different. It showed no Apple products. Instead, there was black and white film of famous people: Picasso, Einstein, Gandhi, Bob Dylan, and many more. The words of the advert talked about the people that everyone called crazy, the people with new ideas that changed the world. "While some may see them as the crazy ones," said the advert, "we see genius." The advert was a huge success. It was a sign to the computer industry and to the world that Apple's creative genius was back. It wasn't an easy time at Apple, however. In 1997, Steve's first year back at the company, about 3,000 workers lost their jobs. People were scared to get into a lift with Steve. While the lift went up or down a few floors, he asked about their work. If he didn't like their answers, he told them to leave the company. More than half of Apple's products came to a sudden end. Steve wanted computers to become Apple's main business again, with only a few really good computers to choose from. Steve decided that all work at Apple should be secret. The company made careful plans for giving information to reporters at the right time. No one else was allowed to talk about new products. If they did, they had to leave Apple immediately. Later, these rules helped to increase the excitement about new products from Apple. On the internet, people spent a lot of time guessing the type of product that was coming next. Very quickly, Steve's actions started to bring results for the company. In the year before he became CEO, Apple lost more than $1 billion. In the year after his return, it made money. Steve gave most of his attention to Apple's new home computer. He wanted a machine that ordinary people could use easily. Even a young child should be able to get it out of the box and then use the internet. As always, the appearance of the computer was very important. Steve looked at lots of people's ideas for the case, but he found them boring. He wanted his designers to think different. A designer from England, Jonathan Ive, suggested a bright blue case in an unusual shape, a bit like an egg. Steve loved the idea. Of course, the design had many changes before Steve was completely happy with it. He visited the design room at the end of every workday. He and Jonathan made a good team, and they worked on many more designs together. Steve often asked for the impossible, as he had done before, but in one important way, he was different. He understood that things couldn't always be perfect. When he saw the way that CDs went in and out of the new computer, he was very upset. This wasn't what he had wanted, but he didn't make everyone change the design. The new computer, called the iMac, was ready on time. It went on sale in 1998. It was much cheaper than Apple's other computers, and it sold even faster than the Apple II. Importantly, almost half of its customers were buying their first computer or had only used a Windows machine before. After many years of problems, Apple had finally produced another successful product. Chapter 7. Think Different.
Andate,
The 19...
afuera, afuera. Ándate, ándate. Vos también, ándate acá, vos también. Ay, sí. Ah, vos también, ándate acá. No, ya, no, ya, ya. Yeah. Okay. The 84 Macintosh does not also work the operation system for the Windows and picture on the wall highly popular because of the was easy to use inside the table highly capable. There was him new marking the some operation system and the had been more successful was also been on the laws like successful process and digital camera CD player be in the 96. Microsoft Operation System Windows almost go to make Windows operation with the world usually cheaper the Apple machine and the home machine which is over Apple was still popular with the creation of the people like the same on the article of the assembly to the complete market. John Gilling had the Apple in 1993 only he only when the CEO when he decided the people completely name with operation system. He was over people fan there was anything called and now to look at the world company with the operation system Apple avoid on the next one, how design so the picture in the 1993 the war was shown design the business of the make computer and the job product and software net operation system and Chow was in Apple with the Nesi company. Emily was surprised in Answorth wanted to call operation system with the Apple company we have got officer what a very great so what with a great team I said you can't have you in 1996 Apple watching the next 40 million dollars was saved what probably have until the people saved and the best people from the next night were having on the good jobs have people Apple with the opportunity was only part time. With the director was invited to the company was implementing for the same with the was very difficult that Apple was losing money fast in the lost best people were living 30 were named ugly with 1 million did seem to they have clear plan. 6 months after Apple won the NES, Amelia was thrown out when it was asked to become director and Saudi was making what Chinese the old director design with him also running the oil company among of the Amelia almost openly ground director on CEO of Steve amount this become CEO of Apple when very happy when the first time in many years the company thrown learned the innovation of the areas. And estimated make customers that work in Apple believe in the company again the ask for help from the people on the high credit meal the 80 for 18 for Macintosh about the make and the new about trial different. Y show the Apple production standing there was black different famous people Picasso and Gigandi Bob Dylan many Bob about talking about the people the everything kind of crazy the people with new the Chinese the world was so the Macy and crazy one to say the burden to say genius about the funny that I was saying appeared the stress and the war the Apple great genius was back. It was 80 Apple, however, in 1997, Steve was Virgin Black, the company about 30 workers lost their jobs. People were scaring in the jet into the lift with Steve. Who left the lift went up or down to feel floating asked about their work and their leaders answered. They told me left the company where she half of people produce come to sense them. Steve wanted computer become a man putting the guy the computer to your front. Steve decía for the all work the people told the security the company more for plan the video information reporting her right on the other of the world about the new product they had to leave Apple immediately later the release happened to Chris insisted about new product from Apple in the internet people went to learn because to type on the problem when they coming next. Very quickly Steven actually started the brand of the company in the year before he became CEO of Apple lost more than $1 billion in the year left and the return in made money. It took almost his attention of upon how complete his machine to the ordinary people. I call the easily every call tuning on the head on the net bots on the internet and as well apparently the company was very important. She logged on the lot of people at the for the case on the phone. The boring he wasn't he designed a board thing different like design from Nickel Jonathan have the same print blue kinds and usually shape in the board like the eggs. Still loving the idea for cause it's the same I've mentioned before the going to come happy which is the same for the end very work and Jonathan made and turn the work and the many together. Instead of asking for the possibility of well before but the one important was the different he asked than thing I call the quality he was very upset. He was but they had wanted to delete by every chance to decide on the new computer. Calling in the iMac was already in the time I was in designing in 8084. It was much better. The Apple company Apple got other computers on the sold ever faster than the Apple team. Importantly, almost half of the its consumers were the beginning from the first computer are hard only using the Windows machine before after many years of people Apple finally produced another such product. Um, Thank you so much, teacher, for watching and the explication. Thank you so much, and thank you, and the next chapter 8, and bye.